this side version as back. Let me bring it back to where I probably if I don't see it.
Yeah, that's fine. Stop by the school.
Yeah, Callum. Because it is. Callum will get mad. He told him to put his stuff on. He told David to put his stuff on.
Okay. What? So what's over there? Yeah. Yep. And you're gonna stay amongst your peers over here. Look like a nice little council group. Look a nice puddle. I don't know if you should stand up there. I think you should. Yeah, like just get like close over there. This is lovely. Look at y'all. I just want to let you guys know we're very proud of all of you. Always overachieving. Look at them. Better than me when I was in high school. I was like, what? Just trying to live my best life. You guys look wonderful. What shoes are you? What shoes are these? Oh, okay, sure. I was like, why do I see your toes? But I see fur. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening. It's very hot. That's not tall, though. And let me tell you, there's no catamount. For what? He's so mad. I know he's just completely mad at me about this, but I'm like, who cares? This is how the real, yeah. She was like, it's true though. No short and tight. Okay, y'all, come on. Oh, look at us. Get in this picture. See how this goes. You guys look cute. I see you like you know, I just they're gonna be great.
Hopefully this one. Hopefully when you do. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Morning. All right. Welcome to this beautiful day, beautiful ceremony. I'm going to, at this time, ask if everyone could please rise for the presentation of colors.
Come right. March. March. Hold. Right. Face. Game. Coach. Stand. Colors.
At this time, we're going to have the student council recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as Frankfurt Voices sings the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets that were the world's first taken air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you.
Order, off. Parade, back.
Please be seated. Good morning again, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here today to share in this ceremony. One of the things I still, after 8 years being the principal at Frankfurt, that I can't get over is that there are still so many firsts in a school that is over 100 years old, and a community that dates back even further. And it's truly an honor to be a part of that. I'm really excited that my students get to be a part of this too. This will probably be one of the last 100-year anniversaries that you get to be a part of. This is a very special thing, not just for the community and the school, but for each of you, and something that I hope that you carry with you for the rest of your lives. As the grandson of a World War II vet, first generation American that was in D-Day +10 and the Battle of the Bulge, it's really kind of surreal to be here as we get ready to rededicate this war memorial to all of those people that made the ultimate sacrifice, both for our country and for the countries that they were protecting and freeing. So honestly, I'm almost speechless to be here for such an amazing and monumental event in this neighborhood's history as well as the school's history. Speaking of history, as you know, there is a long and storied history in Frankfurt, and that is why I would like to turn the microphone over to Mr. John Buffington, a board member of the Historical Society of Frankfurt, to share some remarks with all of us this morning. Mr. Buffington.
Good morning, everyone. The memorial that you see here is known locally as the Cray Memorial. We're very proud of the involvement of Mr. Cray, who was one of the architects, it turns out. We don't remember the names of the other two. I've got them here. But the Cray was by far the most famous architect involved in the project, and we're very proud of having brought him into something at Frankfurt. And this is one of the two particularly distinguished buildings that remain in Frankfurt, the other one being designed by Frank Furness, who was the greatest American architect of his day. That's at Mount Sinai Cemetery. It's a memorial chapel. And I do recommend when you go down Bridge Street, taking a look at that place just inside the fence of that particular cemetery. But this I think is a particularly gorgeous structure, and it's interesting as slightly different from other memorials, war memorials, because it lists all the veterans from Frankfurt, not just the people killed, but the 2,382 people who served from Frankfurt, men and women. Probably not too many women at that point, but some women apparently. And the dead only come to 28 or 42, depending on which version of the story you believe, or how you count the stars, because there's a star by the name of each person that was killed during World War I. I'm going to have to count those stars before long and figure that out. I see that you've been told about the evolution of the field, which is the whole field is a memorial to the World War I veterans, not just this structure, which was maintained by the American Legion and the Alumni Association of Frankfurt High School until 1951, when it was turned over to the school district. At the dedication ceremony, it was unveiled, this particular memorial was unveiled by a 6-year-old girl, Virginia Noble, who was the granddaughter of a city councilman, William Horn. And as your program notes, the mayor did speak at that, and then also pretty much the same day, I think, at the dedication of the upper section of the Market Frankfurt L. The lower section of the L from Center City out west had been in place for a while, but ours was added the same week as, if not the same precise day, as the dedication of Frankfurt Field. The occasion, now tomorrow is the actual anniversary, 100 years, so it's tomorrow's the centennial of the actual unveiling of the plaque. And it was Armistice Day at that time. An armistice is not a peace treaty, and it's not a surrender necessarily. An armistice is when the guns stop. And it was a very, very big occasion because that war, World War I, had been particularly murderous because of the development of new means of killing people that hadn't been in place during our previous wars. Mustard gas. The machine gun had been around a little bit as a machine gun, but it was much improved for World War I. And the airplane all came into being during World War I and had good effect in raising the total tally. The reason we only have 28 or 42 dead on this plaque is that we got into it late, after the Germans and their allies and the English and French and their allies had pretty much killed each other off, to the point where the people who were still in the trenches fighting and had reached a stalemate were old or young underfed, miserable, rebellious in some cases. The French army rebelled at the end of the war. The Russian army, of course, was taken out when the Tsar surrendered, and the Russian Empire was broken up for a while. So the well-fed, healthy, aggressive Americans that came over after 4 years of depletion of everybody else had a very, very good effect in settling the war pretty quickly, although there were a lot of people killed still towards the end. I feel that this memorial is a little bit neglected because it's not on the City Register of Historic Places or the National Register of Historic Places. A lot of people think it's not necessary to list a structure on those sites because if it's government owned, it's already protected as much as listing would do. I don't think that's right. I think that as a matter of fact, when it was refurbished a few years ago by the school district, a better job might well have been done if the Historical Commission had to have a say in how it was going to be done. There was a school of thought right after that refurbishing and the addition of the lighting, which is there now. There was a school of thought among people who really cared about the thing that it would have been better if the historians, architectural historians, had been involved. That's who these people are on the Historical Commission. They tend to be architectural historians as opposed to straight historians. I didn't understand that when I started meeting them. But an architectural historian is a specialist in structures. And we have a wonderful commission. And I wish they had had a shot at it, and I hope they do have a shot at it eventually, which would be a good reason for some ambitious young person who might have a paper due and hasn't picked a topic yet to undertake the writing of a nomination for the Philadelphia Register. I'd love to work with somebody if anybody wants to step up to that task. I am, by the way, not just a board member, I'm the History Committee Chair at the Historical Society of Frankfurt, so it's really within my personal scope to try to stimulate such things. I hope you all are as impressed with this as I am. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, and I'm pleased with the ROTC program for having pulled together this event. I think that it's well worth remembering with a formal occasion like this once in a while what people have done for us to keep us free. And that is exactly what these, how many? 2,382 people thought they were doing, whether they were right or not. They were enlisted by their country to go do their country's work. And we should remember them and appreciate them. And that's what we're doing today. And I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Buffington. Really appreciate that. Speaking of thanks, there are so many people that helped make today possible, from organizing to cleanup work around the memorial, to contacting multiple people, to the guests, to students. But first and foremost, I want to thank the person that always leaves himself off of any part of gratitude, and that's First Sergeant Fraioli. You can all give a big hand to First Sarge. Not only is he a veteran, but he's also one of the greatest JROTC instructors, I'd say, in the entire country. Not just in this, he's already won the JROTC Instructor of the City multiple times. think we have to find a way to nominate them for state or national awards moving forward. So thank you first for making this all happen today. Yeah, let's give it up for First again. There's also, as you can see, there's some beautiful plants up here, and you can't see, but there's bulbs planted in this flower bed up here, and these beautiful arrangements behind me. So I'd like to thank the people from the Heroic Gardens, and that's Miss Collie Turner, Miss Hefner, Miss Couveau, and Mr. McKenzie. So if we could just give a shout out to them for helping organize all of this work. A couple weeks ago in October on a Saturday, they took time out of their day and joined up and really made this look very nice for today and moving forward. In fact, I believe we have a couple awards. I would like to ask Ms. Hefner if she could come up to accept a Frankfurt High School Certificate of Appreciation for the Heroic Gardens for their outstanding support for the 100th anniversary of the Frankfurt War Memorial.
I just want to thank you guys for the opportunity for us to serve those who serve. We serve veterans and we help in any way we can. This was a little unusual for us, but we loved it. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I want to, Mr. Buffington, it's not too much. If you could come up, I'd like to present you also with a certificate of appreciation for your speech today about the memorial. And thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with us for those that didn't know. Thank you again.
And thank you, ma'am, for your service to veterans.
There's a lot of other people that have helped out to make today a big success, and you know we are going to share during my closing remarks. I'm going to share another announcement. I want to thank all the special guests. We have State Representative Joe Hohenstein here. We have some of his staff. We have the Assistant Superintendent of Network 4 is here. One of my wonderful assistant principals, the Director of Athletics for the School District of Philadelphia, and our Chief of Schools is supposed to be here. I think she's in transit. But I also want to really thank our students because, you know, while these ceremonies are great, like you're the future. And there's nothing better than getting to see you guys participate in these kinds of events and really add to it in such a special way. So many people to thank. Bob Smiley, are you out there? Bob's not here. Dan Mullen from Capital Programs, Ms. Taragontek, Chief of Staff for Representative Hohenstein. And I'm sure that I forgot someone, and I apologize if I did. I mean, this was truly like a wonderful event. Thank you to our student council, led by Ms. Blackman, our Frankfurt Voices, our student choir, led by Ms. Wizov. Thank you for adding such value to this morning's festivities. At this point, I am excited to invite up PA State Representative Joe Hohenstein to read the proclamation.
Thank you, Principal Calderon. And just so that everyone knows and understands, I come here with many different roles. I am an alum of Frankfurt, 1985, along with 4 of my siblings, and my father also taught at Frankfurt High School back in the late 50s and early 60s. I come as a neighbor. I live half a block down, and so pass in front of this space almost daily. And I will say, along with the Heroic Gardens, and want to let people know the Heroic Gardens folks, their mission is to bring essentially the peace of gardening to those who have been through the hell of war. And their work focuses on allowing and giving space for veterans to do gardening activities and to improve their own home and their own spaces, in addition to some of the work that they do improving our public spaces as well. So please give Heroic Gardens another real good shout out. Their work in this space has also been focused on improving and lifting up some of the work that neighbors have already done. Some of the bulbs that are already there from the neighbors, the peach trees. Those are family members of mine as well. We're all throughout Frankfurt, and we have been for many years. That's another hat that I wear, is as a representative of the neighborhood. My roots are here. My family goes back 150 years. Now, I didn't have any members of my family who are on this plaque or on this memorial, but we've been here for a while. And one of the other interesting things, as Mr. Buffington said, is this is also the 100th anniversary of the Frankfurt L. And so I recently posted a video of my grandparents' wedding, which ended with them going underneath the L. And the L at that time was just about 10 years old. It was 1933. But the L and the Frankfurt War Memorial and a lot of the homes that were built here in the Northwood section of Frankfurt. And don't let anybody tell you that Northwood is a separate neighborhood. It's still Frankfurt. We really are. But those were all built in that space of time, just after World War I. And one of the things that I was struck when we began doing the research was that many of the people who returned from the war did not feel welcomed or appreciated. And I recognize that as a common theme and a common experience for our veterans. As much as we say we honor, as much as we say they had the path to glory, again, war is hell. War is not glorious. And the veterans, when they returned, did not always feel treated as well or even appreciated. And that is something that I know I've seen in my own lifetime with different wars, with different veterans. And it's one of the reasons that, for me, as much as my own convictions lead me to believe that pacifism and active nonviolence are the ways forward, I absolutely will always and do always respect the individual sacrifices that people who serve our country in whatever form, and certainly people who have given their lives to make sure that we enjoy the blessings of liberty and the fruits of freedom. And so now you've heard enough from me. I'm going to read this proclamation and turn it back over to Principal Calderon. Whereas the House of Representatives of Pennsylvania takes great pleasure in recognizing those historic landmarks which contribute to the benefit of their communities and ultimately to all the citizens of this Commonwealth. And whereas the community of Frankfurt is being honored upon the 100th anniversary of the dedication of its World War I memorial, the Great War. Whereas located at Wakeling and Large Streets in Frankfurt, the World War I memorial was dedicated on November 11, 1922. The memorial lists the names of more than 2,000 men and women who were natives of Frankfurt and served in the United States Armed Forces during World War I. Of those individuals, this citation says 28, Mr. Buffington, but we will investigate and see whether it should say 42. gave their lives in the line of duty. Also included on the memorial is the inscription, "The path of duty was the way to glory." The Frankfurt World War I Memorial is lauded as a local landmark that helps to keep alive the history of Philadelphia and Frankfurt for the benefit of anyone who lives or works or visits the area. Now, therefore, the House of Representatives of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania salutes the community of Frankfurt upon its richly deserved recognition, offers best wishes for the continued growth and success in the years to come, and directs that a copy of this citation, sponsored by the Honorable Joseph C. Hohenstein, on November 7th, 2022, be transmitted to the community of Frankfurt. Thank you very much.
Could you stay up here, Joe? At this time, I'd like to ask First Sergeant Fraioli, Mr. Buffington, Ms. Hefner, and can we get our Student Council President all to come forward? At this point, once everybody's up here, we're going to do the ceremonial ribbon cutting of the memorial as it enters its tomorrow, its second century. So one day, you guys are all going to be in some other Frankfurt history book when they rededicate it for the 200th ceremony. These are very official looking scissors. Would you like to do the honors and everybody can kind of put their hand on it and we'll cut it right in the middle? Be careful, they're like really sharp. I didn't fill out a permission slip for you either, so. No, you just pop in there. I got you first, doing that. Yeah, first you're in. All right. Eggs first. So there's a couple other points I want to make and share before we end this ceremony. And the first is to the students, because people my age and older had parents and grandparents that fought in wars, and maybe some of you have, maybe some of you have not. But the one thing you need to remember on Veterans Day, it's not just a day off of school. It's not just a day off of work. It's not just a day that the banks are closed. There is a meaning for this. And like that meaning, the perfect example is right behind me. And I just want you to take that with you as you continue through adulthood and make sure that you continue to honor all the veterans of our armed forces. I did share how, tomorrow starts our second century, and there was a ton of work done outside to make this look beautiful on the outside, but as Mr. Buffington shared, the whole stadium is really part of it. So I'm really excited to unveil that as we start the second century, that we're going to have a little bit of a makeover on the inside as well. And I'm going to ask if, did I see David? David, can you come up here and help me? I want to unveil something. David is a captain on our football team. He's a senior, tremendous student. I got a little surprised, and unfortunately you may not get to use it as much as everybody else for the next 100 years, but can you just pull that up? It's our new football field coming soon. Thank you, Jimmy Lynch, for that. Full paint end zones. It's in the picture. Yeah, we'll be having our field redone, so the second century of champions will be able to play on a new turf field like so many of their counterparts across the city and state. We are officially going to be a turf field with some added benefits, and I'll leave that up here if anybody wants to come and take a look at it. But again, in closing, I just want to thank everyone for being here. Thank you all for the contributions that you've all made to today, and thank you for being a part of Frankfurt's next 100 years. So thank you all very much. There's also hot dogs. We have a hot dog stand over here, courtesy of State Rep Hohenstein.
Say something about a video board too.
So that they will have this in place for 20